fireworks tinkerer. In a quiet Ohio cul-de-sac, the basement was his workshop. A folding table, a drill press, cardboard tubes, and a plastic bin of leftover powder from past July 4ths. At 9:14 p.m., neighbors heard a sharp crack, then a rolling boom that lifted shingles and blew the stairwell apart. Smoke pushed through the eaves. Fire crews found him at the bottom, clothes scorched, body peppered by fragments from a small metal box he used to store parts. He was awake, asking for water, voice rough and hoarse. On the way to the hospital, his breathing grew shallow. In the ICU, machines took over, but his airway was burned from the inside, and swelling closed what the ventilator couldn't keep open. Through the night, pressure dropped, organs failed, and the monitors went still. What began as just a hobby ended in a room of fluorescent light and quiet. Cause of death: combined blast trauma and third-degree burns with severe inhalation injury. The driveway cannon. Late light on a quiet ranch road. In the driveway, a homemade cannon, scrap steel pipe welded to a dolly, muzzle aimed at a dirt berm. He'd tried a small charge earlier, then decided to go bigger for the echo. When he hit ignition, the breech failed. A white flash, a concussive bang, and the pipe peeled open. Shrapnel scythed across the garage, denting the door and dropping him where he stood. Neighbors ran with towels. Friends wrapped belts tight above the wounds while sirens drew closer. He was still talking when medics arrived. Skin gray, voice small, asking if it looked bad. Tourniquets, oxygen, fluids. The blood kept coming, pooling in the dolly tracks on the concrete. En route, his pressure crashed and wouldn't come back. At the ER, they opened a trauma bay and pushed more blood products, but the damage was inside and everywhere. Cause of death: rapid exsanguination from deep penetrating shrapnel injuries to the thigh and abdomen. The cinder block jack stands. Saturday afternoon, a quiet driveway. He slides under his sedan to swap a fuel filter. Car lifted on a floor jack, braced with two dry-stacked cinder blocks. 10 minutes in, there's a muffled crack. The blocks shear. The jack creeps. The unibody drops like a door and pins his chest to the concrete. His phone skitters out of reach. He tries to breathe, but every inhale is shallower than the last. A neighbor hears faint tapping on the muffler and calls 911. Firefighters arrive with cribbing and airbags, talking him through it, inch by inch. He's awake, whispering, lips pale, counting along with the lift. After 40 minutes, they free him. In the ER, scans show broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and a bruised, bleeding liver. Oxygen fights to catch up. The heart can't. Pressure sinks and slips away. Cause of death: compressive asphyxia from vehicle crush, compounded by blunt chest trauma, rib fractures, internal bleeding. The barber chair tree. A Saturday woods edge. The kind of job you save for the weekend. A tall, leaning pine. A brand new saw. He starts his cut and the tree answers. Wrong. The trunk splits up the middle, what loggers call a barber chair. The top rockets skyward. The base kicks backward, and in a blink he's pinned at the hips against a stump. The saw clatters away. He's awake, breathing fast, voice thin. Neighbors fight through brush with a belt and a blanket. The first deputy radios for a helicopter. Fire crews slide in cribbing, call out numbers, inch the weight off his waist. There's a moment where his color lifts and hope follows. Then it slips. In the flight suit and rotor wash, they push fluids, clamp a pelvic binder, pace a fading pulse. The monitors stutter, then run flat over the tree line. Cause of death: hemorrhagic shock from pelvic crush injury with laceration of major pelvic vessels and rapid internal bleeding. The antenna on the ladder. Late afternoon heat wavers off a quiet Phoenix driveway. He wrestles a tall aluminum antenna up a 20-foot aluminum ladder, eyes on the roofline, not the wires overhead. As the mast tips upright, there's a blinding white flash and a sound like tearing cloth. Current locks his hands to metal, muscles seize. For a heartbeat, he's rigid, and the circuit breaks and he falls hard to the concrete. His breaths come in wet, staggered bursts. Skin on both palms and one shoulder is charred where the electricity went in and out. Neighbors sprint with towels. Sirens rush closer. Paramedics find no steady pulse, just chaos in the rhythm. They defibrillate twice, 3 times, get a moment of organized beat, and lose it again. At the hospital, the monitors keep slipping back to silence. Burns are deep, but it's his heart that won't come back. Cause of death: high voltage electrocution causing ventricular fibrillation and cardiac arrest. The deep keep clean. Evening in a nearly empty apartment. He wants the bathroom spotless for a move-out. So one cleaner becomes two. The door stays shut and the air turns sharp and stingy. Minutes later, neighbors smell it in the hallway. When medics force the door, he's on the tile beside the tub, eyes red, breathing in ragged pools, coughing pink foam. Oxygen rises, then crashes. In the ICU, a ventilator takes over while steroids and nebulizers chase the damage. But his lungs keep swelling, filling with fluid. Delicate airways are chemically burned from the inside. Overnight, chest x-rays go from hazy to white. By day 3, even maximum oxygen can't lift the numbers. Pressure slips, monitors alarm, and the room goes still. Cause of death: acute inhalation injury from corrosive gas created by mixing household cleaners, causing airway burns, pulmonary edema, and refractory respiratory failure. The DIY bungee. Back when camcorders still clicked to record, a midnight plan took shape on a highway bridge. A harness, a rope, a countdown. He climbs the rail to whoops and nervous laughter. Then a leap into dark air and a sudden savage stop. No bounce, just silence. His body snaps to a halt, as if the night itself grabbed him by the neck. Friends scramble, haul him over, lay him flat on cold concrete. He's breathing in harsh, shallow bursts. Then not at all. They press a mouth guard in, try rescue breaths, call his name, beg for movement in hands or feet. None comes. Sirens smear across the river. Medics stabilize his neck, push oxygen, search for a pulse that keeps slipping away. In the ER's bright light, monitors stutter and hold a straight tone. The backyard zipline. Late sun, backyard shadow. A cable runs between two trunks, one thick and healthy, one gray and quiet. The kids have taken slow rides all afternoon. He wants one fast pass. Hands on the handlebar trolley, knees tucked. He launches. Midway, the dead tree groans. At the base, wood gives like wet cardboard. The anchor rips free. The line slings him forward and whips him down as the trunk follows. The hit is brutal and sudden. He's awake, pale, whispering that he can't feel his legs. Neighbors call 911. Firefighters muscle in spreaders to lift the weight and drag the trunk aside. In the ambulance, his pressure drops, skin turns clammy, breaths go shallow. At the hospital, scans show a shattered spine, a ruptured spleen, and blood filling spaces it shouldn't. Cause of death: blunt force polytrauma with unstable spinal fracture and massive internal hemorrhage. The inventor's bed hoist. After polio, he built his own way to turn in bed. Pulleys on the ceiling, a corded harness he could work with one hand in the dark. Most nights it was smooth and quiet. A pull, a shift, relief. One night something slipped. A loop twisted. The harness rode up beneath his jaw. The counterweight settled and held him half an inch off the mattress. No shouting, no crash. Just a steady pressure that kept his airway narrowed and his blood pooling in the veins of his neck and face. Minutes stretched. The brain starved. By morning light, he was still, skin dusky, the cord dug deep. Neighbors cut him down. Medics tried oxygen and chest compressions, but the clock had already run out. For a man who solved problems with rope and grit, the last failure was heartbreakingly simple. Cause of death: mechanical asphyxia from neck compression during entanglement in a self-operated hoist. If you enjoyed this animation, please subscribe for more and support my small channel. Share your ideas for the next video in the comments.